Okay, so we're on page 197. Let's talk a little bit about one of my favorite pens, the Pentel Pocket Brush pen. And this pen is unique in that there are other brush pens out there, but this is the one I've found that's the most like a brush, and it has the most fine tapered tip, and will allow you to do the absolute finest lines of any of the brush pens I've tried. And it actually it wears very, very well. I actually haven't worn out one of these, mostly because I've given them away to people that might not be able to get one, and because I like it so much, then I go buy another one. So mine tends to stay a little bit newer. But this is my last pen, so I should start putting some mileage on it. So if you look at the mech sketches that were there on that page 197, I'll do a sketch that's similar. But first, let's talk a little bit just about the quality of the line that you can get. You can get incredibly thin, as I mentioned. So let's try to draw some very thin ones. This is actually a piece of illustration board I'm drawing on right now, so that's why there's a little bit of texture there. And then, of course, you can get very thick lines and very thick to thin. So you can get some really beautiful. I mean, obviously, this is a Japanese pen. I would imagine is used a lot for writing beautiful, characters. But we can do the same in the sketches that we're doing, and so super thin hairline lines. And if you draw on a paper, this is on, like I said, illustration board. If you draw on something with a bit of tooth to it, you get a nice texture, and it will allow you to draw it, sort of explore even lighter, because it's hard to get the line so dark. I'm going to do a little quick sketch on a Bristol board, Bristol paper actually, that's even a little bit smoother, so we should get a little bit finer line. So that's nice to get the really the nice thick to thin. Also, you can block in quickly areas, so you can flood areas with black ink. This is a nice India ink, I think. So that makes for a very versatile tool, and that's one of the things I like most about this pen is the beautiful thick to thin, the ability to block in areas and just have one tool. Also, the immediacy of it. And what I mean by that is that, of course, the first line you sketch is completely black, so you really have to think out your page and your image, and that forces you to sort of pre-visualize what you want to sketch. So I'm going to just lay in a little ground line here, and you can see my line quality here is even a little bit smoother, right, because the paper is a little bit smoother. So I'll start like that, and I sort of know where I'm going, so this is not a true sketch from, a design sketch completely from nothing. So I'm going to do something similar to what is on the page 197. I'll probably come back and add, a few more videos like this. Thomas and I, our thought is that these videos will just keep evolving and changing the more we do them, and the more questions you have that we either failed to answer in the book, or whenever we want to expand on a new subject. So this is probably not the last one of these, and we'll keep making improvements to our videos, adding new videos, answering your questions through the videos, updating the apps, and that sort of thing. So it's kind of like the book just keeps living through these videos, and it's our way, as opposed to having to wait for a reprint, we can actually address your questions almost right away. So these are our first ones, of course, without any questions, so we're just having to take a stab at what we think you're going to be interested in. See, there's one of those very, very light lines that you can do. So the thing is with this brush is that it forces you not only to think ahead a little bit and pre-visualize, but it forces you to use a very light touch. And so if you have a heavy hand, this brush can be very frustrating. But if you have a heavy hand and you want to develop a lighter touch, right, this is a great brush to use because it forces you to develop that lighter touch and that sensitivity. And so I like it. I like it for that. Also, I like the wiggly line that you get, so I like a little variation in that line quality. And this is one of the lines that it's super easy to do. It's that super, like, just little hairline point, little serrated little whiskers almost, those little knife edges there, and then pulling it back, getting fatter quickly. So those are the really, easy lines to do with a brush like this that are not so easy to do with a ballpoint, for instance. Just add a little bit of tech up on top there. Just total make-believe quadruped here. But I like sketching with a sort of unforgiving medium that goes black right away, because you get some really nice, big, bold graphic statements to your shapes. I'm just going to plan ahead, make sure I have enough room here. You'll see I'm drawing these at sort of a 45-degree ellipse, and that's because the legs are actually angled out in front view. That's how I'm imagining them anyway. So we're not seeing, these legs are not vertical, so we don't see perfect circles here. And some sort of mystery joints back there to make this thing move. That one's a bit more of a circle. And the other thing I like to do in these kind of little quick side view sketches is I like to push that far side just into shadow. So if we do a mirror a leg over here, for instance, like just try and mirror the silhouette. And maybe imagine that that little elbow there is a little further back. And then this one's a little further back. Probably nice to leave a little bit of white line right there if I was going a little slower to differentiate that this dark area is actually on the near side leg, but did not do that. I haven't used this pen in a little while, so a bit on the rusty side. Okay. And just blocking in a couple more little shapes. And let's put the far side leg over there. Again, I'm just going to drop it all into shadow. And it provides a nice little, background, if you will, for this other leg. So something like that. Not that accurate, but you get the idea. So that is an example of how to use that pen. It's showing up there on camera. It looks like a little bit shiny maybe, so that's why it's not looking as black, but it is very black, and if I scanned that, of course, it would be really easy to go into Photoshop and adjust those to go completely black and white if it wasn't opaque enough. But it is quite opaque ink. It just doesn't look so much like that because of the exposure I have set. That's one very small person in order to fit. Maybe make the head a little bit smaller. So yes, big helmet on a tiny person in order to fit the entire body into there. But it's okay. It's just to show how cool this pen is and and what fun it can be and how immediate it is. And what I love about it, it makes for a very, very fast sketch because the first line you put down is the line you're going to have to stick with. So in that regard, it's a lot of fun because their sketches happen rapidly. Whether they're good or not, that's debatable, and how steady your hand is and what your prior idea is before you start to put down the lines. So give it a try. It's one of my favorite mediums, and it's not a cheap pen, but you do get refills with it, and like I said, I haven't worn one out yet, so they do last a long time, but it's pretty superior, and I think worth it to buy one that'll last for a long time. So give it a try.